Welcome, everybody, to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Caesars Sportsbook is the home of Caesars Rewards. We're here now in Week 11 of the NFL regular season. It's flying by like, I can't believe how quickly it's flying by.
It's an amazing, it's a very interesting season.
Yes.
You would think teams that would do well before the season aren't doing very well and, be injury or otherwise, and coaches dropping like flies, I think.
Yeah, we've already had two fired, or two terminated.
Well, who knows what happens this coming week,
yes,
too. So
yes,
who knows?
Week 10 was kind of interesting to watch. There were a lot of good games, a lot of bad games.
Yeah.
And,
boy, if you're a New York football fan
yes.
of either team, you're suffering now.
It's a rough season so far. And
it's a rough season.
As a Jets fan, I can tell you right now, I've never seen such a level of incompetence that I'm seeing from this team at times.
Yep.
But here we are, week 11. We're here, Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Caesars is with us all season long. Their regular season, playoffs, big game. Special offer up on the screen, but for those listening to us, Pike 1000 at Caesars.com/sportsbook-n-casino. First cash bet loses, you'll get it back in bonus bets up to $1,000. 21 and older, terms and conditions apply, and problem gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yep.
But we've been doing this all season long where we look back at the previous week before we get into Week 11 and our segment where we do our picks and and analysis. A couple interesting stats have fallen out of the woodwork here, Week 10. I mean, other than just some incredibly bad games by a couple teams.
Yeah.
I can't believe Dallas, to be honest with you, how bad they're playing lately.
Well, look, that's one of the teams with injuries, and but they weren't doing that great to begin with in the season.
Yeah.
But the injuries just made it worse. I was very surprised that the trade deadline came and gone, and they really didn't get rid of any of the bad contracts they may have, or any players that get traded to help them with next year. But hey, no, it's very interesting.
Tell you who I was very impressed with at the trade deadline was Pittsburgh. They made themselves much better.
Yeah. No, it was a nail biter last week because I think we both had Pittsburgh.
Yep.
By the way, congratulations! You went 3-0. I went 3-0 last week in our picks, and now you went 3-0 this week.
Well, we'll go through everything before we get to the break. But
incredible things that happen, and you're going to go through a couple.
I'll go through a couple stats here.
It's like stuff that you really, you can't believe happened this week. So
I have to admit, one thing I'm going to miss moving forward right now, we had the end of the international series. No more 9:30 games. I actually like those.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about 9. I have a set routine on Sundays that I've cultivated over years and years and years. So that's kind of look, more football is great. It's just I always think about when I see a game starting here on the East Coast at 9:30 in the morning. I guess it's 6:30 in Los Angeles or 6:30 in Nevada, and it's like, yeah, okay. But
they're up all night anyway in Nevada. So,
but I always think another thing is, games start at 9:30. In this area, there's a lot of sports bars, and I wonder if that affects business.
Probably increases the brunch bottom.
Yeah, I know. You better have a brunch if you're doing or serve breakfast or something like that if you're a bar around here in New Jersey. So,
well, here we are. I'm going to go through some of the stats and facts from Week 10.
Okay.
Before we get to our picks, starting off Thursday night, we have Jamar Chase, the Bengals wide receiver, has now set a record for NFL history. Jamar Chase's 431 yards receiving against the Ravens are the most ever for one player against a single opponent in a season.
Wow.
I didn't know Art Powell had the record before this. 420 yards for the Raiders versus the Oilers in 1963. Wow. That's how long that stood. What is that, 60 years?
Yeah. So yeah, I miss the Oilers.
I do,
I used to like the Oilers. Dan Pastorini, Earl Campbell,
Well, it was old-fashioned football compared to today, too. But going over to the international game, we actually talked about that just briefly. Carolina Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard, Third player to have at least 150 rushing yards and 1 rushing TD in an international game in NFL history, short-lived as it is. Chris Ivory in 2015, Travis Etienne in 2022. Hubbard's also the first foreign-born NFL player to have at least 15 rushing or receiving yards in an international game. He's from Canada.
Yep, and also has the greatest name ever to say for announcers.
Chubba Hubbard.
Chubba Hubbard.
Well, not as fun as the Arizona Cardinals defensive back, Budda Baker.
Yeah.
That's more fun, I think. Chubba Hubbard.
Good football name.
Yes.
It's a good sports name. So.
Yep. First 8-2 start or better for the Buffalo Bills since 1993. That was 1993 was the season the Buffalo Bills made the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So kind of a...
they look good. They look good.
Foreshadowing there, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Teams with 0 touchdowns and at least 3 turnovers were 0-147 since 2010. The Vikings are the first team to win such a game.
Can I just say that was such a boring game last night? Oh my God, I had that over and I blew that. I should have went with. I even said it last week. I was debating whether to go with the Vikings. They were -4 at the time. Then I think it went up to -7 or something like that. But no, I should have went with the point spread last week.
No, they didn't score a touchdown, so the under cashed on that one. It was just
ridiculous.
Yes. So. The 49ers are now 17-2 in all games played after their bye week since 2022, best in the NFL. They are also 13-11 in games played before their bye week since 2022. So bet on them after the bye, but not before.
Yeah, it looks
bet
like
against before.
It looks like they're a second half team kind of thing of the year. So.
Kyle Shanahan is now 43-18 in all games played after the 49ers bye week. So that's another coaching stat to keep in mind for betting purposes.
That's always a big betting stat for a lot of people, the bye week.
Coming out of the bye.
Oh, yeah. Andy Reid is almost unbeatable after the bye. And, the really great coaches know how to use that time off, that week off. So, keep that in mind.
Speaking of coaches, Mike Tomlin, 26-6 now versus rookie starting quarterbacks. Russell Wilson is 12-2 versus rookie starting quarterbacks. So those are 2 other stats to keep in mind for betting purposes.
Pickens caught an incredible touchdown. I mean, I don't think he could stretch out any further. So, no, I like what the Steelers are doing. It was like a bit of a nail biter, but it was a fun game to watch.
This next stat is very painful for me to say out loud. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is the first player in NFL history to complete 85% of his passes with 250 passing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
First player in NFL history, and he did it against my Jets.
The Jets just look so out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least, I joked around about if you're a New York football fan, both the teams did terrible. At least the Giants kind of made a game of it. I mean, they went into overtime and lost there.
As much as Daniel Jones tried to throw away that game.
Yeah, I got to tell you, turnovers in the end zone or near the end zone are killers, absolute killers.
What's really terrible about this stat, I said 85%. He actually finished 91.7% completion rate against the Jets, 22 out of 24.
And he ran one in.
Yeah, he ran 2 in.
2 in.
Two in. Over in 2 other games, Jalen Hurts, Eagles quarterback, 8 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games. Most by any quarterback in a 4-game span in the Super Bowl era.
Okay.
So that's a nice stat for the Eagles fans out there.
Playing a very beat-up Dallas Cowboys.
Very beaten down, too.
Beaten down.
They are not playing well at all. And last stat for the week here, we've got Jared Goff and C.J. Stroud. I guess it was the Sunday night game.
That was kind of very un-Goff-like, kind of performance, especially in the first half of the game. He had, I don't want to step on your stat, but he had 5 interceptions.
No, that's fine.
He had 5 interceptions, the most he's ever thrown since college. So,
no, he did not.
But he won the game.
He did not have a good game, but he won the game. He won the game. That's the important thing when it comes down to it.
Good teams find ways to win. I mean, I can't believe how the Kansas City Chiefs won their game on a blocked field goal.
They should never have been in that position, though, against that team. So, Denver should not have been up like that.
But Detroit and Kansas City, good teams find a way to win.
Detroit was down by 16, too.
Yeah.
But the stat I was going to throw out, Goff and Stroud. Goff had 5 interceptions. Stroud has 2. The 7 interceptions were the most combined interceptions in an NFL game since Rams-Bears in Week 14 of 2018.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of a unique stat to come out of that game. I mean, I guess that's a good thing about throwing 5 interceptions. You're kind of in the record books now.
Yeah.
I guess. Not a great way to be in the record books.
Well, you feel better about it if you win the game after 5 interceptions.
Yeah. So. That's it for the stats, but like Dave had mentioned, we have our picks coming up, and last week we actually, the week before you went 3-0. Now we have our second 3-0. That's me, 3-0.
I went 1-2. I
Yes.
did terrible.
I
had the Vikings game. That was awful. I forgot what other game.
I'll tell you, that Pittsburgh game was kind of weird to watch.
Pittsburgh was a little nervous. I won the Pittsburgh. That was the only one I won, the Pittsburgh game. And then Atlanta losing. I also had Atlanta minus 3.5, and they lost against the Saints.
I actually had to wait until the fourth quarter for Buffalo to actually win that game for me. So, but it was 3-0. You went 1-2. You are now 16-14 on the season. You're still ahead.
That's
you
actually
got 2 games.
That's actually better than I thought I was.
Well, you were 15-12. You're 16-14 now.
Okay.
And with my 3-0, I'm 20-10.
All right.
So moving right along. I mean, I still got a 4-game thing. Maybe I should take some chances here, see about what I can do. But we're going to be heading over to our pick segment. Again, we'll go through the rules right now. We'll go through them after the break as well. We use Caesars Sportsbook midweek lines for the picks, 3 games each. We only use point spreads and totals. We don't do money lines.
Nope.
And we just play against each other all season long. Again, Caesars Sportsbook's with us too, and we're going to be using their lines, but always check the lines before you place a bet after hearing our show or any other show out there, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Lines are always changing, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but keep checking the lines. And we'll be back with our picks right after this. Turnpike Sports Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Stay with us.
With costs going up, Adam and Eve is the best deal around. With 50% off a sexy adult product at adamandeve.com. That's 50% off right now when you point the camera on your smartphone at the code on the screen. Don't get up. Just open your camera and point it at the screen. Hurry. You'll also get 10 free gifts, including free discreet shipping at checkout. This is your chance to get more for less. So scan now for 50% off plus 10 free gifts from adamandeve.com.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Caesars Sportsbook, the home of Caesars Rewards. Caesars is riding with us all season long, regular season playoffs, and through the big game. And we have a special offer for our viewers and listeners. If you're watching on TV, the offer is on the screen. If you're listening to us, it's Pike 1000 at Caesars.com/sportsbook-n-casino. If your first cash bet loses, you'll get it back as a bonus bet up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. 21 and older. Problem gambler. 800-GAMBLER. We're here in our pick segment of the show, and I'll go through the rules one more time before we get into our individual picks here. We do 3 games each using Caesars Sportsbook midweek lines. So please check the lines before you place any bets this weekend on the games. We do point spreads and totals. We do not do money lines. And we're playing against each other.
Yeah. And we don't know what games we're picking when we're picking them. However, we do ask, before taping starts, just to make sure we get the format right. If we have a game in common, we usually do that first and get it out of the way. But I think I'm going to make some ground on you this week because we have no games in common.
No.
Absolutely no game. So I'm excited.
Well, hopefully you make up some ground.
I hope so.
I actually, a little teasing here. I went with a couple of different choices here, and this is either going to work out great for me or I am going to allow you to close the gap.
First time in a long time, I went with 2 totals.
Really?
Yeah.
I did no totals.
I see. Okay, it's going to be an interesting week for both of us. Okay, good. Let's do this.
And with that being said, let's head on over to the first game of the week. My first game of the week, I'm becoming a specialist in these types of games. I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Detroit Lions. Detroit is favored by 13 points at this taping time.
You didn't do the
over/under 47.5.
You went with.
Are
you laying 13?
Well, let's wait and find out now. Shall we?
What did you do last week? You laid 8.
I laid 8, and I laid 11 before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've been riding Detroit all season long here. So ever since we started seeing this, Detroit was actually able to keep that winning streak going. They're now up to 7 games in a row that they've won. That 16-point comeback against Houston was actually kind of fun to watch. Mm-hmm. They're coming in, or they're actually waiting for Jacksonville to come in. Jacksonville's 2-8 on the season, one of the worst records in the league. They've lost their quarterback for the foreseeable future. Trevor Lawrence is not playing. I think it's Mac Jones starting again for this game here. They have been competitive, the Jacksonville Jaguars, in all of their games, but we got here a Detroit team that just barely won against Houston. They had one of the worst offensive performances of the entire season, if not the last couple of years that Goff has been there. And they need to actually show people that they're who they say they are and who everyone thinks they are. So I think they're going to be doing something to prove that they are actually the, if not the best, one of the best teams in the NFL. Lions are 2-0 against the AFC South this year. They're 7-2 ATS all season long here. And even though Jacksonville, this is an interesting stat, Jacksonville is 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games. Detroit just looks like they're on a mission here. They want to get to the Super Bowl. Last year wasn't a fluke. They want to make sure everyone knows that. So I am actually going to go with Detroit and lay the 13.
Wow. A little scary for me, but good for you. If it works out for you, why not? My first game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Los Angeles Chargers, who are favored by 1.5 points with a total of 47.5 points. I think this one's going to be a fun game to watch. I think this one's going to be a shootout. In the last 3 games, the Chargers have put up scores of 26, 27, and 27. And on the other side of the ball, the Bengals defense has allowed a combination of 96 points over the last 3 games. I mean, but on the other hand, Cincinnati has been looking real good offensive lately. Joe Burrow has thrown 2 or more touchdowns in each of Cincinnati's last 5 games against an AFC opponent. And Burrow ranks first in the NFL in passing yards this season. So, like I said, I want to get some of the popcorn, lay back, and watch all the scoring because I think this one's going over 47.5 points.
All right, let's head on over to the second game of the week. Next game of the week for me, the Minnesota Vikings favored by 6 points at the Tennessee Titans. There's an over-under of 39.5 here for the game. Here is the history of this. Tennessee used to be the Houston Oilers, but these teams have been playing since 1974. So it's been Minnesota, Houston Oilers, now it's Minnesota, Tennessee Titans.
See, you went back in your research all the way to the Oilers, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
They've met 14 times since 1974. The Vikings lead the all-time series 9-5. The Titans won the last meeting. That was in Minnesota. Here, the Vikings have won the last meeting in Tennessee, which is where this game is going to be. Minnesota's 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 games, and they're facing a Tennessee team that's 0-5 against the spread in their last 5. Interesting matchup, but you've got Darnold struggling. He's constantly struggling. He's dropping right down to earth.
I think I told you last week. Someone tapped him on the shoulder and reminded him he's Sam Darnold.
Well, we've got Sam Darnold here struggling. I think with the secondary of Tennessee, we might be able to see him get back on track at some point. But the overall Tennessee defense, ranked in the top 10 of a lot of defensive categories here, damn good defense. Tennessee's always played people tough. Tennessee always plays Minnesota very tough. I'm thinking this is going to be a closer game than people think. I'm going Tennessee +6.
Wow. Okay. My next game is the Green Bay Packers, who are favored by 6 points at Chicago Bears with a total of 41. The Bears look awful lately, just terrible.
And they just fired their offensive coordinator.
They lost against the New England Patriots. I mean, how bad do you have to be to lose against the New England Patriots? They didn't just lose. Let me give you something about the Bears. The Bears had only 142 yards of offense and had an average of only 2.4 yards per play. The defense didn't look much better because they gave up 328 yards to a terrible Patriots offense. It just seems like the Bears are in a bad situation right now. The Packers, on the other hand, are coming off a bye. But the last time they played football, they lost to the Lions. But before that week, they were on a 4-game winning streak. The Packers QB Jordan Love has recorded more than 229 passing yards in each of the Packers' last 8 games against NFC North opponents. I think he can do it this week again too. At this point in the season, I don't think the Bears have enough to go head on head against the Packers. And I think the Packers are just gonna. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win big, and I'm taking the Green Bay Packers and laying the 6 points.
All right, let's head on over to the last game of the week. Last game for me, I am doing an AFC North matchup. I'm going Baltimore Ravens, favored by 3 at the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's an over-under of 48.5. When I started looking at this game, the point spread, the total had changed already. It was at 47.5. Now it's at 48.5. Mm-hmm. It's just going up and up and up for some reason. Steelers have won 4 in a row, 3 in a row since they made the switch from quarterback from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. They started out 0-2. They're now winning like crazy, obviously. That change has really helped them a lot, which surprised everybody. But Mike Tomlin knew what he was doing when he made that switch. You got Baltimore here coming into Pittsburgh. Baltimore quarterback Lamar Jackson is 1-3 against the Steelers as a starter. He's been sacked an average of 5 times in each of the games he's played against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's won 7 of the past 8 in this series.
Yeah.
Steelers and Ravens are really a combined 12-6-1 ATS. Baltimore's only 5-4-1 against the spread, so Pittsburgh's got the better record here. Pittsburgh has beaten Baltimore 5 straight times as an underdog. Wow. And I think Pittsburgh has Baltimore's number. I think this is a much stronger team. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl caliber team, but they could actually be one of the few teams right now that could challenge Kansas City in the AFC, more so than Baltimore, which is why I'm going Pittsburgh +3.
Almost pulled the trigger on that one, but my last game is, you said the total is going to change in your game. I'm thinking the total is going to change in my game, but lower, so I'm taking the total now. Atlanta Falcons at Denver Broncos, who are favored by 2, and the total is 44 at press time.
That's low.
Yeah, but I think it's going to go lower. I think this one's going to be a pretty low-scoring game. Atlanta's offense is very good, but Denver's defense is good as well. On the other hand, Atlanta's defense has been pretty inconsistent, but Denver's offense has been pretty anemic with Bo Nix at the helm, which that equation just spells low-scoring game. The last 2 games, the Broncos have scored a total of only 24 points and have been unable to sustain a running game. They have just been awful at running the football. And the Falcons' offense didn't do much better when they only scored 17 points against New England. The Falcons even missed 3 field goals last week. So I have a feeling I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. And I know they're both coming off games where a lot of people thought they should have won, both teams, Atlanta and Denver. And but I just think they're just not hitting on all cylinders right now. And I'm taking the under 44 before this total moves even lower. I can see this going to 42, 41, 42, but I'm taking 41, the under 41.
All right, those are the 3 games of the week. We'll be right back after this to recap and close out the show. Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Be back in a bit.
If you don't have final expense life insurance, this message is for you. LifeCare provides valuable information about whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and other final expenses. A final expense life insurance policy is fast and available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exam, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral costing $9,420 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses. Your premium will never increase. Your policy will have a cash value and a death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense life insurance with a lifetime lock, call 800-601-9488. That's 800-601-9488.
Sign up at jackpot.com and you can bet on the world's best lotteries where the biggest jackpots are up for grabs. Powerball, Mega Millions, some of the biggest lotteries can be found at jackpot.com. Simply choose your lotto game, pick your numbers, or use their quick pick feature, and you're done. Sign up at jackpot.com with code DRAW24 and get a free lottery ticket with your first deposit. Jackpot.com, it's the world of lotto in your hand.
Terms and conditions apply. You must be at least 18 years old and in the United States to play. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook, home of Caesars Rewards. Now, we just did our three picks each for the Week 11 games coming up.
All three different games, too. How about that?
Games.
I'm going to make some moves on you now. Look at this. My standings are going to improve. I can just feel it.
Well, why don't we recap for our listeners and viewers? Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm taking the over 47.5 points in the Bengals-Chargers game. I'm taking the Green Bay Packers and laying the 6 against the Chicago Bears, and I'm taking the under 44 in the Atlanta Falcons-Denver Broncos game.
And here I am laying the massive 13 points from Detroit onto Jacksonville. I won with 11 points. I'm going with 13 on Detroit.
I love Detroit, but that's a lot of points.
But I'm laying the 13 with the Detroit game, Minnesota, Tennessee game. I'm going Tennessee +6, and also I'm going Pittsburgh +3 against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, these picks will be up on our blog like we do every week, turnpikesports.us. Click on the blog button. You'll be taken to the print version of the picks there. Feel free to comment there. Feel free to email us, info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Follow us on social media. We've got Instagram, Turnpike Sports Radio, Facebook, Turnpike Sports, and X, Twitter, whatever you call it, Turnpike Sports, and Turnpike Bets. We've got 2 there, so please follow both if you can. And please, keep checking the lines. We use midweek lines again for Caesars Sportsbook, but please check the lines before you place any bet. Bet with your head, not with your heart.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike. Good luck, everyone.